Welcome to the second episode of our private processing podcast. Today I'm here with Brando. This guy, I need to tell you, he's dropping bombs on YouTube. He has scaled multiple brands to over 7 million in revenue per month, which is absolutely crazy. And today we sit down, and I don't want to make this only a boring podcast where we answer some random questions. Instead, we will make this a step-by-step guide for you guys out to watch there, because I know you're here to make more money, to scale your e-com brand. So this will be the perfect podcast for you to watch to scale from 50 or 500K per month to over 1 million. So you get in the zone between 1 and 10 million per month in revenue. So yeah, quick background about Brando. He's running an agency since over 6 years now. He helped over 100 brands to scale successfully with meta ads, with conversion rate optimization, and just in general with scaling their e-commerce business. So in short, he makes e-commerce brands more money. And yeah, today, Brando, I will ask you a lot of interesting questions because I want to get the most value out of you, out of this short time we have for the viewers. So yeah, let's get straight into it. And first, welcome to the podcast, and I'm happy to have you here.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited that we also we're hopping on here. And I think that what I want to do is, as I mostly do with my YouTube videos, is drop as much value as I can so people can have actionable steps, after finishing this podcast. So let's get it going.
That sounds really good. We both escaped Dubai in the last days. You are back in Italy. I'm
Yeah,
here in Thailand in the hotel right now. So we need to do it on.
we're live. We're live.
We are live. Yes, otherwise we would have done it in person.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's just start and get straight into it. First, I want to talk about one topic which is really important when people start out. So let's imagine I'm an e-commerce beginner. I'm in this range. I'm making 50, 100, 200K, 300K maybe per month. I have some ads they are working on Meta. What do you see are the biggest mistakes or bottlenecks which are blocking these people from scaling further? Like, if you look at new brands, they come to you, they ask you, hey, Brando, can we work together? Can you help me scale my e-commerce business? You look at their shop, you analyze their ad account. What are the main mistakes you see in many cases?
Yeah, that's a great question. And honestly, this gets me pumped up because it's something that it really comes down to my heart, and I really care about this topic because everybody focuses on one thing while they should be focusing on others. So when you start, long story short, from 0 to 50, 0 to 100K a month, it's not technically wrong to test a lot of stuff because you don't know what the market wants. You basically need to be in a position where you do enough volume that you have the market tell you what is, the market resonates with, because you don't know that immediately from the start. The thing is that what most brands do is that they just keep doing that random kind of like volume creative strategy, and it only gets into one certain point. What I'm trying to say here is that the main mistake that people make is that they keep doing that strategy instead of taking a step back and actually tracking the results and the failures of their ads. So the answer to your question is, what people should do is start tracking ads, start track hypothesis, like always have an idea and a proven hypothesis backed by data on why you're testing a specific concept, and then eventually do learnings. And I can also share with you, I can give you a free diagram that people can download. Maybe we can put in the link of this video, where
Sure.
it's basically a creative command center. I can also show you, if I can share my screen here, maybe I can also show you. But this command center allows you to track every single concept strategically. So you always understand what is the hypothesis behind that concept and why did it work and why did it not work. At maybe after 7 to 14 days, that's typically when you want to analyze the ads, right? So that's number one. Number two mistake, just to be very, I don't want to spend 30 minutes on this, but just very quickly, is that everybody focuses on the product instead of the customer. Everybody. everybody starts copying and pasting ads and focusing on what products to sell next. It's very kind of this flashy environment. What we want to do, what 8-figure brands do, and this is a big observation that I've been able to observe over the last 6 to 7 years, is that everybody starts from the customer first, and then they package the right offer. It's basically the inverse approach. So if you can spend more time on the customer, right, and understanding what their needs are and what they want, and more time on tracking your creative efforts, right, to understand why things work and why they don't, then automatically you're going to have a much more consistent and reliable business, and probably get way more winning ads that can scale you. So this is kind of like the nutshell of my answer to you with your first question.
Okay, makes sense. So the first point, I totally understand it, is a lot of people, they just don't get out of the situation of throwing a bunch of stuff against the wall, hoping that something sticks, and their strategy for scaling is just continue to throw more against the wall instead of analyzing and understanding what actually works. You said you have a sheet for that. If you want, maybe
Yeah.
show it.
Yeah, and we're gonna leave this. Anything that I show here, don't worry, guys. We're gonna leave you links so you can, leverage our systems and processes. Should I just start sharing right now?
Yeah, sure. You can see if it works.
Amazing. So this is basically the sheet. It's very nerdy. I always say it's a nerdy sheet, but it will get you results. Okay, so this is what it looks like. Can you see it? Is it big enough? So this is every single client we onboard, right? We create something called the command center. It's exactly what it says. It's a command center. We track everything we do. We track ad copies. We track UGC collaborations. Out of all the things that we track, there's one thing that is really important, is tracking results when it comes to creative. So we have a creative testing tracker. I'm going to leave the link down below so you can use this. It's free. Just download it. And so what I was telling you before, talking about tracking hypothesis and tracking the results of your tests, right? This is how we do it. We basically have a formula here that automatically populates based on everything that we fill out in the sheet, like the marketing angle, the concept, the awareness stage, the avatar. And this would basically be your ad set name. You know, when you launch ads, you need to name your ad sets. If you're not naming your ad sets, do it, please, because it's going to be way easier if you have a structured way of naming your ad sets. It's going to be way more effective to go back, understand what's actually in the ad, and etc. So this is the naming convention that we have, which is automatically populated, which is very, very convenient. You see, we have product name, top of funnel, the concept, video or image, editor name, launch date. This is very useful. So this is going to be useful for you. So what we do is that we essentially, just to keep it short here, we track every single aspect of the creative, the marketing angle of the concept, right? The concept type, top of funnel, middle of funnel, bottom of funnel, the avatar, the link to the video. This is, of course, a demo. So a lot of these things are kind of like just dummy data. We have the copy, the creative link, the status, whether it's been tested, approved, and stuff like that. The results, this is really important. After 7 to 14 days, we go back into the sheet and we document whether it was a loser, a break-even ad, or a winner. Okay. And this, thanks to this column, this is also how we track hit rate. The hit rate is basically how many ads do you need to launch on the ad account to find one ad that spends and scales. Know what I mean?
Yeah.
So this is how we track hit rate. And then we also have our media buyer going here. And these are this is data from the ad account, but we always want to track hold rate, hook rate, cost per click, CPMs, CTR. Once again, I'm not going to spend an hour talking about this. You probably know what I mean. And you can also access the sheet down below. So you just make sure that you have to put the numbers here. And then this is the most important column, hypothesis. Why the heck did we decide to choose to launch this test? There needs to be a practical reason.
Because in many cases, you test a lot of stuff, and then when the results coming in and you analyze, you already forgot why you even tested that in the first place and what was it about. And then how you should make smart decisions about the next steps, the next things you are testing, or the next creatives you create. So that's really smart. Okay.
But even worse, if you don't have an hypothesis, like even worse, why do I say even worse? Because most of your ads are going to fail. 80, 90, 95% at the beginning of your ads will fail. So if you don't have an hypothesis backed and connected with the failure, you will keep on doing the same mistakes.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is also why it's important to track, an hypothesis. Okay. After 7 to 14 days, we say the results. In this case, we didn't get a lot of spend. In this case, we got a lot of spend, right? So you get the point. And then we have learnings every 7 to 14 days, at least a couple times a month. We do learnings. What is a learning? A learning is analyzing why the ad worked and why it did not work. Even if if the learning is not 100% accurate, because it will never be, we're not like God, like we will make mistakes, our assumptions might be wrong, but at least we're stacking observation. Learning is basically a sexy way of saying you have to observe. You need to observe what your ads are doing. Okay.
Yeah.
So once, and these are graphical representations that you can then create win rate right from the data here, results. You basically get a conglomerate of these data. We put it together, and this is how we track hit rate. Your hit rate should be around 15 to 20% before you start to scale. So this is a good metric to go after.
Okay, nice. That's really practical. I mean, for me, this will already be enough reason to work with the agency because I don't want to fill out this form, this sheet. But I guess if you're doing your ads yourself, you must do it because there is no other way. Otherwise, you're just going to the casino and hoping for the best. You mentioned hit rate now. Can you go more into this topic a little bit? What is hit rate again, and why is it important to have a high hit rate
Yeah.
of 15 to 20% instead of 5 or 2%?
Yeah. So you need to understand that at the end of the day, we are building a company, right? And if we want to onboard people, we want to make sure that they're entering an ecosystem that is sustainable, that is predictable, and that works. So, why am I saying this? If you have a low hit rate, your team is going to get burnt out because nothing works. Literally, all their energies, this is not the only reason, but this is one extra reason to do it, right? All of your energies and all of their resources will go in doing things that actually don't make you any money. Why? Because you didn't spend time to build the infrastructure of gathering the learnings and doing the hypothesis. Imagine if you do that and you have a very solid hit rate where it takes you, instead of taking you 100 ads to find one that scales, it takes you 10 or 15, right? Do you think your team will be able to make you more money because you build that system, right? So it's about efficiency at the end of the day. That's why we want to have a good hit rate. Anything above anything above 10, 12, 15% is good. We don't want to be above like 30% because that means we're not doing enough volume probably. Right? So typically how we do is that you start, you do a lot of volume, right? Your hit rate sucks. You take a step back, you optimize the hit rate, you bring it to 15, 20%. And then once you have that, you start scaling with iterations. You start doing more iterations on your ads. As soon as that drops down to 10%, then you take another step back and you try to see why it went so much down. So you always want to find that balance. Does that make sense?
It totally makes sense. So what you're saying is you have, let's say, this team of creators or maybe work with freelancers or whoever. They create the content, they create the visuals, whatever you use for the creative for your ads. And if you don't do this necessary work up front to really figure out, analyze what actually works to get your hit rate up, they are just producing nice videos. They're putting all their efforts in there,
Look,
but then at the end, nothing works, and it's
yeah,
just
yeah.
pressing for them.
Look, at the end of the day, if they enter a broken system, it does not mean that they cannot work with you. It's just going to be way harder for them to get results because they're going to have to do the work for you.
Yeah.
So it's always better to hire. Of course, your first hire, it's going to be a bit scrappy, a bit messy. But if you do the work yourself as a founder to give the right resources and infrastructure to the future team members, it's going to be way easier for them to work and get results for you because you did the work that you need to do.
Correct. And one thing which I can add here is that there are two types of employees. So you will have people, they are really good in their field and they can execute perfectly what you give to them. And on the other side, you have people who are more, let's call them entrepreneurs. So they are entrepreneurs inside a business. Those people can actually think, they can create processes, they can fix stuff. But those people are obviously also, in most cases, higher paid because they could also go out there and start their own business. So in the beginning, you probably will not be able to afford those really good people. You can only afford people who are good in their thing, but they need clear structure. And that's why it's so important to give them a good briefing so they can follow it without getting demotivated because nothing works.
Yeah, yeah. And leaving the motivation aside, we're not always going to be motivated. Sometimes this stuff sucks. It doesn't work, right? But at the end of the day, we want to do our best, right? That's the whole point. I'll give you a perfect example. When we work with clients, we actually just started working with a supplement company, and our first round of creatives was at 40% hit rate. So amazing. So one in 2 or 3 ads, we're like spending several thousands up to over, I think, in the first month, over $10,000-$20,000, just one single ad. The reason why we were able to do that is because the client was good enough where they gave us some learnings and some hypotheses that we could start from, which made our life a lot easier. So even if you want to work with an agency, or I said freelancer before, I said the team member before, but anybody you work with, if you do that groundwork, it's going to be just way more smoother to start getting results faster with whoever you onboard, because you're giving them the right tools, right?
Yeah. Okay. Totally understood this points. So let's move on. Let's say now I'm tracking actually what I'm doing. I analyze it. I have learnings from it. I know what works, what doesn't, why it works, why it doesn't work. And now I can increase my hit rate. I can make better creatives. What types of creatives you personally like, where you see, okay, those types of creatives more or less every time they kind of work? Like, for example, us versus them creatives, UGC, and so on. Do you have any favorites there?
Yeah, yeah. So this question is tricky, and I'll answer it. I'll answer it for everyone. I'm going to give you the answer in just a second. But people need to understand that the secret will never be this type of ad works, or this type of funnel works, or this type of this, you understand what I see. It's more of understanding the frameworks behind why it worked, and if your customer even resonates with that. Because if I sell to 50-year-old Sally, right, or a 20-year-old, you know, blonde New Yorker wanting to be pretty, whatever, young gal, they're completely different people that resonates with completely different things. At the end of the day, if I have to give you an answer, it's going to be the type of ad that keeps people on the actual feed. Because if you keep people on the feed, right, Facebook will always give you better metrics. He will be your friend. It will give you better CPMs. It will give you better, better targeting, right? It will give you just higher quality traffic. Why? Because you are fulfilling their need to make them more money. You are keeping people on the platform. How do you keep people on the platform? You typically want to do a framework that has hook, story, offer. Hook, you hook people. Story, you tell a very, very relatable and emotional story if you can. So you're giving them a reason to stick more on the platform. And then offer, whatever, it's because you're selling and you're trying to make money. You have an offer at the end, right? So I can actually show you, if you want. I have something here, an example of like a really, really winning ad. Like they scaled at 60 million views, 20 million views. I can show you an example of a winning ad that's really applying this framework that I just said, if you want.
Yeah, sure. Let's do that.
So this is a company called Woofs. Okay. Woofs does multi-8 figures a year. So how did I find this company? First of all, I like to find these company using tools like 4Play, Altria, where you can like find competitors. Are you familiar with these tools? Yeah. So whatever tool you want to use it, as long as you find, some brands that are doing very good numbers and have a lot of active ads. What I like to do then is, once I find the brand, I like to put it in AdSpy, which is another tool where you can filter by advertiser name and you can type in woofs, which is the company, right? And then it will give you all of the ads here. What am I doing? Why am I actually doing this in the first place? Is because here you can actually see the engagement of the ads. You can see whether something worked or did not work, right? This ad has 258,000 likes, 10,000 comments, 4,000 shares. This is also a very good indication of a winning ad, the number of shares. So let me show you this ad. They sell like supplements for dogs. Let me share the actual ad. What they have on the background, just to give you some context because you can't hear it. It's a super emotional song. That's kind of sad. So it's sad, it's emotional, it's relatable, right? And so the idea here is it starts with basically, a dog that is not happy, right? It's bringing through the story. My joint aches. It's basically coming from the story from a dog, as if the dog is speaking to you. I know I'm getting older, but you know, um, I still need you, mom. Right. So like this is super emotional, super relatable. So this is why the ad worked. And guess what? They were able to find this concept and replicate it across multiple other dogs. If you take a look here, you see this is one dog, this is another dog breed, this is another one. They're all the same exact ads. Look at the number of engagement. Crazy,
Great.
crazy, crazy. So all of these videos have one thing in common. They're extremely relatable, right? They're telling the story, and then at the end, of course, they're selling a product here because they have to make sales. So this is the product, whatever. And so there's another important component to answer your question is having a transformational factor within your videos. If you can have people show a before state, this is the before state, versus a future state, more energy, happy dog, sad dog, happy dog. This is what they need to see. And if you add a relatable story in the middle and you have a unique mechanism with your product, you have a golden winning ad. So I'm going to stop sharing here, but yeah, I just wanted to share this example because I thought it was perfect.
Yeah, I saw this ad before. I think it was even on your YouTube or in one of your YouTube videos. And I also thought, damn, it's really like emotionally catching the people. And this reminds me of one thing. There's the CEO of this marketing agency. They are they were one of the main reasons why this Dr. Squatch brand scaled so hard. They sell the soap and stuff.
Yeah,
And
their ads.
yeah, how they started to scale hard is by having this ads which were like funny, kind of crazy. And this guy said on stage one time that you need emotion, you need to trigger some kind of emotion because emotion is what sells at the end. And that perfectly relates to this as well because as you said, this video it's so emotional that people feel something and then you can convert them. But the important point here is, I think, also this transformation. That's what I haven't thought about before, to really have the transformation effect in the video, because then I
Yeah.
think, I want my dog to have the same transformation. That's why I need to buy
Yeah.
it.
And to say something important, if you just have emotion, okay, first of all, emotion caters to everyone because we're human. We cannot control it. If you sell logically, it will cater to a one type of person.
Yeah.
Right? If you sell emotionally, it will also cater to the logical person because he can't help it. He's gonna start crying if you see something that just touches his heart, right? Um, so I forgot what I was saying here. So yeah, so it's important to have that mechanism to convert people in the video because if you just have an emotional video, you're probably gonna get very cheap CPMs still because you're keeping people on the platform, but you're not taking advantage of the good metrics Facebook is giving you. If you don't have that conversion mechanism in between the before and after, the offer, something, because then you're just getting very cheap traffic, probably a bunch of engagement as well, but you're not making a profitable ad, right?
I think maybe we could frame it like this: a winning ad, on the one side, you need to have the emotion, but then on the other side, you need to have some kind of mechanism that creates the desire. I think this transformational thing is one really good mechanism. I guess there are even more mechanisms like that, which then create the desire to, hey, I want to buy this or I need to buy this now. Okay, really, really interesting. Now, let's say I create ads. How do you guys, for example, as an agency, do it for your clients, or how would you recommend people to create ads? They just should go on Canva, create something there. They should do it with AI. They should go on Fiverr, hire some UGC creators, or what's like ways you use or you can recommend people to use to actually create the advertising.
Yeah. So it's important to do one quick thing as we start, getting into this process. You need to do a couple of things. First of all, you need to understand. I like to always look at competitors, indirect and direct competitors. Why? Because they will give me an understanding of the content required for me to be successful, even high level. Okay.
Mm.
So if I see that my direct competitor is doing this type of B-roll, of like very emotional B-rolls, right? Or this before and after effect of happy dog, sad dog. I want to take that and I'm doing learnings on my competitor. You know, when I said I talked about learnings before in my own ads, I want to do the same thing with my competitors and indirect competitors. Once I have that, I will have a good understanding of the type of content that is required for me to get results. So I will reach out to creators, right? 3, 5, we don't need to do 300. It doesn't have to be super expensive. We will reach out to creators and we will ask them to do B-roll, A-roll, whatever is required that I need, that I studied from the learnings I did from my competitors. And this is a starting point, okay? It's a starting point. Because once you start getting results, you should do customer surveys and you should start understanding what they actually want to see. And that's
Mm.
where you can like tweak your content even more. But as a starting point, because you don't have that information, you just look at your competitors and indirect competitors. You can also do a lot with AI stuff. A lot of our editors are doing AI B-rolls. You can use platforms like Hixfield. Hixfield is a good platform where you can just do 5-second, 10-second videos. You can use VO3. You can use Sora. You can use so many tools just to do that B-roll,
Mm.
AI B-roll. So this is how we source content. Did that answer your question? I'm not sure if it did.
Yeah, it makes sense. So just to reach out to a few creators first, give them clear instructions, they create the content, and then um, how do you see it? Because, for example, what we looked at now is like UGC
Yeah.
content, UGC ad. How do you see this in comparison to static ads, where I just have a image, maybe with the offer directly?
Yeah. Yeah. So I can also give you, I can do like a super mini 1-minute masterclass on statics,
Yeah,
because statics are, they're, they're amazing, honestly, because they're fast to create,
super
but
fast. Yeah.
yeah, very fast to create. You can do like in an hour, you can do 20 statics, whatever. But the secret is that you need to know how to make them work for you. Most people do statics and they're like, oh, statics don't work. Let me just do video, because they don't
Mm.
know how to make them work. Because it's doing an unaware video ad versus an unaware static is a completely different thing. It's very, very, very hard to sell somebody with a static because they're just seeing an image. You're not giving them a lot of information. So to make statics work, you actually need to have the right sales process attached to that static, right? So if I want to do a static about, a very unaware static that caters to a lot of people, that is unaware, the least that I need is at least probably a long form ad copy, in the caption of the ad, probably a bigger explanation, or sending people to an advertorial, or I like to say a pre-sale page that vets them, nurtures them, right? It's basically, you need a more complex sales process if you want to make statics work. And the statics that I am talking about, I'm talking about like statics that scale. So like unaware statics, not like the retargeting statics where it's just like it's retargeting just middle and bottom of funnel and you can send them wherever and they're gonna convert because they already know you. I'm talking about scalable statics. Um,
Maybe to make this a little bit more clear for the people out there, how I imagine it visually is, let's say I start from here and I need to get up here in trust to make a conversion. And now if I have a video ad, I maybe already get up here and then my shop with testimonials and so on gets me up here. So I get over this benchmark, so it's a sale. But if I only have a static ad, because it's just a picture, no video, no trust, or not that much trust, it only gets me to here, then my normal shop only would get me to here, which is still too less in most cases to make a sale. And that's why you don't need to change something on the funnel.
Yeah.
You get them over there.
That's the traditional, I would say most people that cater to this process, yes. However, I know brands that do multi-eight figures just with statics. 95% of their ads are statics. The only thing they have that other people don't is leverage over their sales process. They have very, very good sales process. Their landing pages is impeccable. Their offer is impeccable. Their pre-sale page from static to landing page, the pre-sale page in between the offer and the static is impeccable. It's very good. It converts a lot. It gives people context. It gives people a lot of background on why they should even be there. It's basically the video ad. It's the sales process is the translation of a very good VSL, like a VSL, you know, those 5-minute VSLs that just, if you see the entire VSL, you're like sold. You just need to click and buy. So
Yeah.
each type of ad, that's why we're going to get into CRO probably, right? In the next part of this call, because the CRO component will be detrimental also towards the success of specific types of ads as well. So yeah.
Let
And
me
one
ask.
last thing, sorry. Just one last thing, because I want to answer your question about, you said statics and UGC. We talked about statics, but UGC are amazing. Like UGC is just more expensive and more time consuming to do UGC. I would always recommend after you do your customer and the competitor research. So because you have to do that at the start. I would always suggest to do at least like 3 to 5 very raw UGC videos, which by the way, you can always repurpose into other videos as well. So it's not that you pay for one and you can only just use it for that. You can always like use snippets of those videos to like repackage. At the end of the day, that the brands that we work with that are successful, they have one drive folder with like 100 pieces of content. And then their editors have all the tools and pieces of A-roll, B-roll, animations, UGC that they need to recreate whatever they need to recreate. Once you have that toolbox, it's way easier to do the ads that you want to do. You don't, I mean, it's tough.
Yeah. This would be actually a question I wanted to ask you today. Like, how can people make it easy for you, for example, as an agency, to get them good results? Because it's not only on the agency, also, I guess,
Yeah.
part is on the customer. What does he provide
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
you? So you say for you to get a client, a brand, really great results, it's perfect if they already have such a drive, for example, with all kind of different content, so you can make a lot of ads out of that.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. So you need a couple things. First of all, use the sheet that I sent you that we put together on this link. It's free. If you don't use it, I don't know what to tell you, because it's not only just to work with us, but it's just to work for yourself and for your team. It's going to be just way easier. And there's a lot of tabs in that sheet, but if you have any questions, you reach out and we can answer the question for you. But the most important one is tracking your creatives. If we come into a business where there's already some tracking being done, it's way easier for us to understand why the heck your ads are not working, why they are. Of course, we can just look at your ads directly, but if you have a documented process, way easier for anybody, not just yourselves, anybody to work with you. Second thing is having organized content folders. If I have to come into your business and I have to fix all of your content folders and my editors need to spend hours like finding stuff, it gets quite hectic and we waste a lot of time. And at the end of the day, speed is important for results. We want to have everything momentum. We want to have momentum as fast as possible. So I recommend for you to organize everything into a Drive folder, or there's tools where you can connect it with Drive and it will give you AI tagging. So the tool will scan your creatives, and if you type in emotional dog, sad dog, it will give you only the B-rolls for just sad dog or happy dog or whatever you need to find, or animations. So that's also a good hack, to organize your infrastructure.
Okay, amazing. So those two core things, the tracking sheet plus the drive, with all the content. So you guys go ahead and scale it.
And a
Okay.
positive attitude as well.
And the positive what?
A positive attitude.
Attitude. Yeah, that's always important. Okay. Before we go into conversion rate optimization and how I can make sure that people then also buy in my shop, I already learned a lot. And now I just want to summarize a little bit. So basically, you reach out, you create UGC content. UGC content is strong because it can create emotion, it can create more trust because it's just a video, it's a more engaging format in itself than just a static ad. If you use static ads, okay, you need to work on the funnel and so on. We will go into that. I guess it can also improve then the conversion rate of UGC content, but we will go into that in a second. And then also you can repurpose those UGC ads. So it's not only one ad which you get from a creator, but you can use it again, repurpose it, tweak it a little bit. Do you see that this can have a big increase in like conversion? Like, let's say I have a small different hook on one ad, which can make then a big difference, a huge difference in the whole performance of the ad.
Yeah. So that would be an example of an iteration.
Yeah.
So an iteration could be like same body, but different hook, right? I always advise to people to do as, bigger swings as possible, because Facebook nowadays with the Andromeda thing, they don't really like if you just keep everything the same and just tweak something small. So if you want to do a swing on the hook, make sure that the first 5 seconds are like quite different in the way that you're presenting it, telling it, showing it, avatar. I recommend to switch avatars as well, right? Because if you switch the first 5 seconds and you're targeting black people instead of white, your audience is now automatically going to be exposed to a whole other net of new people, right? Because Facebook understands that, right? So I forgot what you were asking me. Is that the right approach to do it? Is that what you were asking me?
Yeah, the question was if that can make a huge difference if you iterate.
Yeah, it can. In most cases, it's not going to be the thing that 10x's your account. What
Mm.
10x's your account is that 20%. We distribute 80%, 20%. So 80% are iterations on winners or things that we're very confident in, and 20%. But those are not the things that will like automatically like 10x your business. They're the things that either maintain it or increase 10, 20, 30%. Right? If you want to 10x your business, you always need a risky 20% testing rule, where you're
Yeah.
taking bigger swings, you're testing different avatars, right? That 20% will eventually feed into the 80% because you're going to find something that works. But the hit rate, going back to hit rate, is going to be lower because you're going to just do bigger swings, right? Things that you never tested before. So, but you need that 20% to make the 80% grow overall. So yes, the hooks really matter, but don't only just limit yourself to just switching the hook, if you want to scale 10x.
Okay, so you need to make bigger iterations, not just exchange small things. Better make a whole new concept out of it to get a bigger, different result than just changing a small thing.
And that would be the 20%. If you want to just do an iteration on a new hook, 100% do it. That testing a new hook can expose you to very good results as well. I'm not saying it's not true. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, totally get it. Another thing which holds people back from scaling is, besides the ads, of course, the infrastructure, the setup in e-commerce in general, like with their payment processing they use and all that kind of stuff. Did you also experience that in the past when working with clients, that sometimes
Yeah.
things outside of ads block them from scaling?
Yes. Yeah. I'll give you like some something is I'll give you some scenarios. We were scaling. That's why like whenever we onboard clients, we ask a lot of questions, like a lot. And I'm happy like that we're also working together now because we have such a way easier solution to offer to our clients in case they have problems with processing payments and stuff like that. Because it's a huge bottleneck. As soon as you find the momentum, you want to stick with that momentum. So the worst part is that you start scaling to 200, 400, 500K a month. You start scaling whatever over, and then boom, you're shut down because of freaking stupid reasons. In some cases, they're probably right because you're selling a shitty product. In some other cases, they're not because they have some, very strict rules, right? At the end of the day, you're working with a payment processor, right? Which is delicate. So yeah, 100%. If we can find, if my clients have that backup in place, it's always gonna allow them to scale further. And so yes, to answer your question, I've dealt with that many times before.
Yeah, and you mentioned a really important point here, which is momentum. And in my opinion, it's so hard to build momentum in a business. It's one of the hardest things to do, no matter if you start an e-commerce business, if you start an agency, if you scale your e-com shop, or scale your agency, momentum is the one thing which is hard to build. But if you have it, everything goes easy. And you need to protect this momentum. And unfortunately, this is why more and more people come to private processing, why we build this comparison platform. I mean, we are not even a payment processor ourselves. We just like compare different payment processors, different alternatives to Stripe, to Shopify payments, and people can just choose whatever they want to work with. It's completely free, like a comparison platform. And we see now there's more and more people come because just like you have bad support with Stripe, Shopify payments, then often people don't even understand why the account gets blocked. Okay, in some cases it's clear, but in many cases just you get an email, hey, your funds are on hold now, or we need to hold it for 30 days or whatever. And this kills momentum. So not always it makes sense to directly switch, but at least to have a backup in place. So if there's anything, you can always process. And yeah, now, by the way, we also roll out the scaling library, and we also have Brando in our private processing scaling library with his course on ads, on scaling. So if you want more content, you can go to privateprocessing.com, sign up. It's completely free. And you will find the exclusive course there, also from Brando, about all these topics. And yeah, this setup, it's really important. Now, when it comes to the conversion rate optimization, especially when we have the static ads, let's say there is the same brand, like this Wolf's brand. And
Mhm.
let's say I'm the owner of the brand now, just as an example. I run the UGC ads, they perform well. Now I want to switch to static ads. You said it can make sense to put something between my static ad and my online shop where I sell my product, like a mid funnel, or how you call it. What could this, for example, be?
Yeah. So this could be, and look, we can get deeper into advertorials and regardless of static, advertorials, pre-sale pages, you have
Yeah.
to do them, and I'll explain how to do them. I'll give you a quick strategy, quick nugget, quick win that you can immediately implement to get results immediately. And I've done this many times, and it almost always works. Going back to statics, probably you need an advertorial or a listicle. I call it a pre-sale page. It actually, pre-sale page means that you're pre-selling people and getting them ready to pull out their credit card. That's what you need to do. So if you have a static could be so amazing, but it can give you so much context, only so much context, right? You can just look at something and, I'll share with you some examples of statics. This brand is doing printing money, multi 8 figures. They're doing super unaware statics, and I can show you their funnel, but yeah, you need to give them context because then it's going to be very hard to convert people from just a static, especially if it's an unaware ad. If you're doing like a bottom of funnel, like a retargeting offer ad, you can send them to the product page with no problem. So I was mostly referring to if you want to scale with statics, not retarget only.
What would be the first thing you would do if you see, for example, okay, I have static ads, I get a lot of clicks on the shop, but somehow the clicks which come through the static ads, they don't convert. What would be a quick fix, something you can put in the middle to increase that conversion?
So when things don't work, it's typically more of a macro problem not a micro. When I say micro, I mean tweaking the text, tweaking a bit of the headline, tweaking the static and how it looks, right? It's more of a macro problem. What is a macro example? Messaging, mechanism, offer, right? Macro, bigger,
Yeah.
important, more important. So if things are just not working for you, it's most likely that you don't have the right messaging in place that is resonating with that specific person. Okay.
Mm.
Because even if you're sending, if you're doing like a very unaware static and you're sending people to the product page, it's most likely not going to work as well as sending them to the pre-sale page to give them more context, get them prepared, and then send them to like the sales page, the product page. But at
Yeah.
least if the messaging is right, it's going to give you some sort of level of results. You know what I mean?
Nice. Yeah. And this pre-sale page, what could it be? Is it like, because I see some shops, they, for example, have a quiz before they send you on the offer. Some
Yeah.
shops, they have something else. So what could this pre-sale page be? And what do you see works really well as a pre-sale page?
Yeah. So there's several. 7 reasons why, X reasons why I call it, where you're giving people X reasons why on why people are 10,000 plus women over 40 are buying this viral sculpting device, right? To shred their belly fat, whatever that is, whatever the product is. So it's a
Yeah.
7 reasons. Another one that I like a lot, going back to story and emotion, is a storytelling advertorial or listicle, where it's literally coming from the customer. It's very authentic. If you can make these like unbiased, where it's like not branded, you know what I mean? It's like not actually branded from your store, your brand, but it's unbiased, meaning it's coming from some another source almost. People will put their guards down. It's like, okay, they're not selling. I just need to read because I'm interested. That's all I want to do. Okay. So a lot of the times, like when it's super branded, I mean, it can still work 100%, but this is my personal, you know, it's my personal thing that I like. Another one could be a third party, even more unbiased, where you're actually buying domains and you're saying, like you're buying like a new domain, which is like, different. It's not your store.com. It's like, beautypractices.com, whatever. And then the article is promoting you and saying, these are the top 7 beauty tools of 2025. So super broad, very, very unaware advertorial, but it's third party. And then at number 1, you have your device with your link, right?
Yeah.
Which is kind of smart. So these are the some. There's of course many more, but these are like the top 3 that I like to test always: the story, the advertorial, the third party. It's like a whitelisted approach as well.
Mm. Okay, I see. And to go a little bit more in practice, so for example, the 7 reasons why, you would basically create like a small landing page with a short.
Show you? Can I show you very quickly? Javi Coffee. Maybe you know them. Maybe you don't. They're doing very, very well. Very, very well. So these are just whatever Ultra foreplay. You can use whatever you want. I'm actually also building my own tool to have better presentation and information here, but you can use tool whatever you want. I go to landing pages and I get to see all of their funnels
Mm.
and all of their landing pages. Let it just load for a second. Let me just open one. You see, this is perfect. 11 reasons why this high protein iced coffee is the number 1 trending drink for 2026. Okay. What we want to make sure, this is how the advertorial actually looks like.
Mm.
You can add animation, by the way, if you can have like GIFs where it's a bit more dynamic. I really like this a lot because it
Yeah.
it almost becomes like a feed and it's
Mm.
not boring. And I think they're doing this because most of their demographic is younger women. And so younger people automatically just want more dynamic. In fact, a lot of their ads are very kind of fast paced, dynamic, satisfying. But this is an example of an advertorial. And then at the bottom, there's like an offer. There's no price. There's just an opportunity to explore the offer.
Mm.
Makes
And
sense?
then if you click there, you go to the product page or to the store and
Yeah. Yeah. And by the way, talking about Zero, this is fire. I really like this stuff here. They're giving people reasons to buy more by just adding gifts. I really like this offer section. But yeah, they basically go here and they're promoting a subscription. And if
Yeah.
people want to buy one time, they can buy one time, but it's really hard on subscription. I actually have a client that completely copy pasted their funnel, and they have a 95% opt-in rate. So 95% of people are subscribing, and their conversion rate stayed the same. So this is a really, really proven funnel if you're doing anything with subscription. This is really, really good funnel.
Nice, nice. Yeah, this is actually what you showed there on the order page. This is, I think, what a lot of shops could do or should do if they don't do it yet. Because we also see that through a lot of brands that this works quite well, just to make the offer a little bit more interesting by giving people additional stuff. Because you need to see, even if I buy something in an online shop, I always check, okay, I spent now $80. What do I get back there? And in many cases, you can easily give something else in addition, which makes this offer way more irresistible
Yeah.
and increases the conversion instead of just selling one product there.
Yeah, if you need to understand, yeah, go ahead.
Even this Wolf shop or something, I saw they give, for example, a free ebook. Just a small thing. You make it one time, doesn't cost you much money. You can give it all the time out, and it makes the offer more interesting to purchase.
Yeah.
Do you also see that this makes a lot of sense, or how is your experience there?
Look, my experience is that not my experience. The reality is that you're competing against 25 to 30% conversion rate on Amazon. Okay, everybody goes on Amazon to buy because they trust Amazon. They don't trust you. They don't know who you are. They don't know your domain. They don't trust you. So you need to give a reason for people to buy from you instead of just going to another brand on Amazon. That's basically the super easy, basic way to think about this on Shopify, direct consumer brands selling on Shopify. So if you don't add that extra value, like the perceived value should be here, the price should be always here.
Yeah.
On Amazon, prices are low, so everybody's competing against price. On Shopify, you can charge more, but you can switch and your perceived value more. You have more leverage over that, because if you start increasing prices on Amazon, probably not going to work, or they're just going to delist you because Amazon only wants the best prices in the market, right? So you don't have leverage over that. So on Shopify, you need to have unbeatable. You know, I always like to present an offer that is not just quantity based. It's not just discount based. It's desire based. It's based on the solution. So
Mm.
a perfect example. Supplement brands sell buy one, buy two, get one free, buy three, get two free, and that's all they sell. That's BS. What you need to do is sell and say something like, this is a 30-day supply. This is a 60-day supply. This is a 90-day supply. You see how that's more value-based? And connect that with a desire. This will get you here. This will get you to fixing your knee pain. This will get you to fixing your knee pain and back pain or whatever. So you're positioning the offer with the desire in your mind, not just a discount. You know what I mean by that?
Yeah. Yeah, I see that makes a lot of sense. Because that's actually what they want. People want to buy this transformation from, hey, what does this solve? How is my life different after than before? That's what they buy into, instead of just purchasing something like in the supermarket.
100%, 100%. And look, go back to the nugget, which I didn't forget, if you were wondering. The nugget about advertorials and in the, what you can do to make money like tomorrow, if you wanted to more, is you just get your top 5 ads. Okay. Top 5, 7, 3, whatever, how many you have. And you just create extremely congruent sales pages and pre-sale pages to them. So if your top winning ad is about the dog going through, they have they can't walk,
Mm.
right? Basically would create an advertorial saying how my dog went from a 9 out of 10 arthritis pain, whatever, to a 2 out of 10 running back into the park, whatever. So it's
Mm.
super congruent to that ad. And I can almost guarantee you, like 80% of the time, you just get better ROAS, or on the ad account level, that landing page spends more and it scales more.
I see.
So you want to do that for the top 3 to 5 ads and do that process.
How do you make sure with those advertorials that Facebook doesn't make any problems, blocks you, or are there any things you need to watch out for?
Honestly, no. The only thing is that you want to have like compliant. You want to be compliant because Facebook has, it's so intelligent. It also knows it also analyzes the user experience that people have on the landing page. So if your landing page doesn't load at all, you're not only getting fewer people on your checkout, you're also getting higher CPM because Facebook recognizes that the user experience is not positive on Facebook. Because
Yeah.
if I'm a user from Facebook and I click on a link and it doesn't work, I reflect Facebook. It's Facebook's fault, right? So you're gonna have like those basic things. Overall, just have compliance. So if you can't sell CBD or weed, like don't have just CBD on the title of the or on the text of the advertorial. But this is honestly the same with any page you build.
Yeah.
So the in particular
So
that I've
just
seen.
the basics more or less there.
Or one thing to have is best practice is a disclaimer on the bottom that says this is an advertorial geared to sell people and it's like a sales page. Like have a disclaimer. Let me see if I can find it here. Yeah. So Javi has it. For example, it's just a disclaimer that says this is an advertorial. It's a sales page. This is what we're doing.
Okay.
Disclaimer, small text.
But then in the advertorial, you can still create this transformational story. That's no problem.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, nice. We still have some minutes left, and I want to go into the last topic here, which is the shop itself. We already a little bit scratched on it, how to make a shop to convert. Because of course, on the one side, now we talk a lot about the advertising, what ad converts, why it's important to work with emotions, how to track everything, and so on. But on the other side, if you have a shop which is just not converting at all or not at a high level enough so you can scale, and then you run into issues that whenever you spend more on ads, your profit margin just gets thinner and thinner, and you feel like you're running out of air to breathe there. And that's why you can't get over this glass ceiling. You also need to fix conversion rate. And the question I want to ask you here is, if you look at the shop, are there specific things, for example, where you see, okay, this, no way this will convert? Let's say red flag, they don't even have any testimonials there or just AI pictures or whatever. And on the other side, if you look at the shop and you see, oh, damn, this will convert crazy, or this must convert crazy, even you don't see the real numbers, what would you say are the differentiators there?
Can I just show you again? I have a
Yeah.
perfect example. I am a show don't tell guy.
It's more like a workshop here, so people can actually, so
I love podcasts, but sometimes they're just not practical. And, I feel like practicality at the end of the day is what we want to get the results from. So I'm going to share an example of a brand you probably know, but this is you asked me like a question, but your question has like sub questions on it because it's, what makes a good page. So I'm going to show you a good page and explain and bring you through it. Go back to this. So this is IM8. Do you know it as a brand?
Yeah, I know it.
It's like an AG1 competitor. So
Yes.
they scaled very aggressively. Now, what I like, I'll bring you through like some very good common practices, best practices that you should have as like a good landing page, because this is, I think, would give the people the best value. First of all, you need to treat this section over here. You see this top section on the left side. You need to treat this as your landing page. So people should be able to buy by not even scrolling through the page, not even doing this part. They just should be able to buy by just scrolling through this carousel.
I see.
Okay. Ingredients, and they probably have more, but They should. Why is this important? Because you want to give the opportunity for people to buy without moving, without doing anything, just having it right in front of their finger. So this is something that is not really spoken about a lot, actually. But you want to provide very good graphics that give all the information, us versus them, reviews, all that stuff.
And now that you say it, it actually has the kind of thing like a landing page. This could also be a landing page, the pictures, if you put them below each other.
Yep.
They cover basically more or less everything there. They have testimonials, ingredients,
Yeah.
nice product pictures. Okay.
100%. So this is important. Just to go on the macro, zoom out a little bit for a second. The most important part is the top of the fold section. The first 1 to 2 scrolls, 1 and 2. This is the most important section.
Yeah.
Scroll number 3, scroll number 4, scroll number 5, scroll number 6. It's just like your chances of people seeing that is lower, and lower over time.
Yeah.
Okay. So you should see this as the funnel. Pretty much like any funnel. You should see a landing page or a sales page or a product page as a funnel. If I can get more people into the funnel, I can get more people to the bottom of the page. So if I can get more people to like this top of the section, I will have more people scroll through section 3, 4, 5 and buy my product. Okay. So this is the left side. What I love about them is that they're selling the desire. They're selling a program. Okay. They're not selling a product. They're selling a transformational program. So if you can position your product naming convention with a unique mechanism that doesn't sound like anybody else, right? That's going to give you leverage over everybody else in the marketplace because nobody else can compete with how you name your product. Okay, I guess they could, but it would be illegal. It would be copyright, right? So you have leverage. It's like you own it. It's your process. It's proprietary. Okay. Does that make sense?
Makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Next thing is that I like is the best common practice is that they're actually using something that is super ancient, back in the 80s, value stacking. So they're literally telling people what they get, not just saying about it. Because you need to understand what people don't like. Most people are like stupid or they forget what they read, right? So you need to remind them all the time what they're getting. A 90-day money back guarantee, free mystery gift, free daily ultimate mixer, right? Cancel, pause anytime, right? And so this is why I really like their top of the fold. One other thing that I must say is that if you can avoid big chunks of text, and if you can translate those into like images or icons that people can translate the whatever you're trying to talk about because they're seeing an image, it's better. Because if you have chunks of text, it's going to be really hard for people to read through that. So people like to relate more on the visual side rather than the text-based side.
Yeah.
Cool. And so yeah, you can just honestly look through this page and you'll see what I mean by all these things. This is a very good section that I like. This testimonial section is very, very powerful. You can actually also click on the product and then you can buy the product directly in there. There's ingredients, there's us, them, there's authority. People, if you can have people backed by authority, athletes, doctors. She's of course a tennis player, right? Famous people. That's a leverage. And then a bunch of reviews. I really like how they're displaying us versus them. I don't know what us versus them is, but you get the point. So yeah, you see this. This is amazing. I love this section. You see, this is a pure value stacking method. They're saying your traditional supplement route, $35, $50, $20, right? Versus us. This is really, 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 really good. So they're saving a lot.
Yeah, they make it really an irresistible offer. And they use a lot of things, as you said, you already used in the 90s or when I was starting in 2017 and so on. People were discussing that, hey, you need this and that in your funnel. And it's basically just principles they use here.
Yeah.
So Really nice.
100%.
Yeah.
Overall, what I would do is go and find a very, very good landing page that just converts and study it. Like literally study it, break it down, and then hire a developer to do something exactly like it or similar. Of course, with your own words, with your own mechanism, with your own images. But you study the skeleton. We don't have to reinvent the wheel, guys. It's business is already hard. So let's take advantage of them already spending millions of dollars to figure it out to our advantage. And so yeah, this is pretty much it.
How do you see the design side of it? Does it need to be properly designed? Does it need to be like from a professional
Yeah,
UX
that's a good question.
designer or
That's a good question. It does not have to be, but let me tell you, if we have the same products and I have just a better way of presenting myself because I'm more professional, I looked venture backed, even like the idea of like being venture backed, even if it's not, but they definitely look they are, I think, venture backed, but you can tell that they put serious time, effort, and money into that. So if you
yeah,
and you don't need to put the money because there's like with AI tools with like page builders, you don't need to put the money. You probably need to spend $1,000 right, to have the resources to build a page like that. You don't really need to do anything. So that perceived value is it's like so important, really, really, really important. It will give you the leverage over everybody else. Your presentation.
yeah, I see this point same. There's something I want to add here, which is I think if we go 5 years back or something, you could just put something together and it kind of worked. But nowadays, if the stuff which you do is not working or not working good enough, meaning you are stuck somewhere at 100K, maybe 200K per month, and you're just not getting over it, I think one big issue is also that you just don't put enough effort in the details. Um, and you just need to make it better. Maybe make better product pictures. Maybe make a better testimonial section. Maybe really hire someone who's good at design. And I go back 5 years myself, sometimes I didn't even see what's looking really professional and what not. So you also need to get an eye for that. And that's why in many cases it's just better to hire someone that is really good, and you will be amazed that, whoa, it can also look like this. And
Yes.
it gives this unconscious signal to the potential buyer that, oh, crazy, those guys, they take their shit serious. It's and it's directly more trust, less this scammy feeling, and probably a way higher conversion, higher prices you can charge for the same stuff.
100%. Let me just say two more things. Sometimes we get stuck in this little box, right? It could be anything, but branding and like your perceived value is your own little box, right? If you hire somebody that's better than you, the box suddenly just becomes bigger, and you're gonna be like, "Oh, I thought I was good. I thought I was giving perceived value to my customers, but this is a whole other level." Like you only know what you know, right? That's why I like to spend a lot of time on these tools to get inspiration every single day. Altria, like Foreplay, to get inspiration, find brands, find this page, right? Gives me a very good inspo. And also, I think another necessary component is the way that you brand your bottles, your supplement, your product, because it's automatically going to reflect who you attract. So if your packaging sucks, if your branding doesn't actually resonate with your ideal customer, that could be a problem. Not a lot of people talk about branding,
Mm.
and you don't have to complicate it too much, but at least think about it. It's part of that process.
What I feel is that if I'm an e-commerce owner, it's not just branding, it's my e-commerce business is this box. And if I work with someone like you guys with the agencies, it's getting like this because I don't know what I don't know. And yeah, I think we packed a lot of content in this podcast. I think it was really valuable, and I want to use the last minutes to talk to a specific type of person out there, um, which is also kind of who I am myself. So there are two types of people out there. that people, they are still in this stage, hey, I need to figure out everything myself. I just need to work harder and I need to work all day and blah, blah, blah. And I need to become better myself. And there's the other people who also accept that it can be easy if you just choose the right partners, if you risk or spend a little bit of money and you make way more back. And it took me some time to get to this second persona. And I want to talk to these people a little bit out there, because those are the people, they understand, okay, I don't need to be perfect at all this stuff which we covered today. I just need to find the right people that do it for me. And then I can focus on different things where I'm maybe better in. So tell us a little bit about, let's say I'm a e-commerce brand owner. I make 100, 200, 300, 400, 500K maybe per month. I want to scale and get to this 7 to 8 figure monthly revenue, not just in Q4, but consistent.
Yeah.
How do you guys help those kind of brand owners? What do you do for them? What is your offer you have to them? So people can just see, hey, can Brando maybe help me? Is this a good address to reach out to you?
Yeah, 100%. We typically work with 7 and also some 8-figure businesses. Of course, like most of our customers want to go from like 3, 5, 6, 700K a month to like over a million and multiple 7 figures. That's typically the common goal, I like to say, that most people come to us with. And yeah, it's mostly a creative problem, a funnel problem. So we come in and fix whatever, problem you have. That's why we have a consultation first. We never accept partnerships out of the blue. We have 2 calls. One is a discovery call where we at least need to spot a couple of opportunities. The second call, we actually create a custom plan of action for you before we decide to engage. If we don't engage, it's whatever. At least you have a custom plan of action specifically for you. So I wish there wasn't one answer, but most of the cases, it's a creative problem. We come in, we fix their hit rate, we start tracking their creatives, we start tracking hypothesis, we do learnings, we gather all the information so that we create a more efficient creative process that they can just also keep. They don't have to, we're not the owners of it. They can also just keep. So we're, at the end of the day, one of our core values is to build enterprise value, increase enterprise value. If somebody wants to buy your company tomorrow, they can see you're tracking your hit rate. They can see you're tracking your creatives. It's going to be way easier for them to understand why and how to, the vision of growing the business they're acquiring. So I always say we want to build as if we were selling one day.
Yeah.
So that's the vision that we're creating. And then we do a bunch of other things. We can come in and fix your landing pages, your CRO, advertorials, whatever we need to do to grow. So yeah, that's a bit of a snippet. And yeah.
Yeah. I know on the one side that you are really good in what you do, I know a lot of people you scaled already to way higher revenues than when they came to you guys. On the other side, I also know you are quite picky when it comes to choosing new clients.
Yes.
How do you select? Why you are also strict when you choose clients? And what do the people need to fulfill? What criteria to?
Yeah.
So it makes
100%. Yeah, they need to be. I start with the basics. They need to be open to new ideas, because we will come up with new creative concepts, new ideas. The more the founder is flexible and open to testing, the more it's easier for us. They need to be able to respect our time, because we will respect theirs. This is a very, very important criteria for us. But anybody who's watching this podcast, they probably, they're respectful people because they're following you and you are as well. And the third one is probably just at least 100K a month. Honestly, if you're doing below that, we can still help. We have, you can maybe still book a call with us if you want, but ideally it's at least $100,000 a month in revenue, because that's where the business is starting to get some sort of momentum, and we can come in, make a major impact, because you're spending more and there's more leverage. And so, yeah, these were just some core points.
Yeah, how I see it visually is to get this proof of concept. That's what people should have mastered at this stage, which is this first 100K or something per month. And then to put the boost behind it and really get to this scaling level. That's where you guys come in. That's where it really makes sense to work with you.
Yeah.
Or yeah, I guess if you're watching this, if you're below the 100K, should try to get up there yourself, and then you can reach out to Brando, and they can help you to really start the rocket and scale
Yeah.
from that.
Yeah, I should say if you're below 100K, also have just a community. Honestly, do it for fun, to connect with people. There's only 30, 40, 50 people there. It's not expensive. It's a way for you to get started, get some nuggets, get agency resources. If you wanna connect, we can connect through the community. That's pretty much.
Okay, nice. Sounds good. Then thanks for your time. Before we let the people go, where can they find you online? And yeah, reach
Yeah.
out.
Honestly, main channel is YouTube. I've posted 500 YouTube videos in the last couple of years, so I'm a documentation nerd. So you can go on YouTube, type in my name, and also follow me on Instagram. I post some stuff on Instagram as well. And yeah, these are the main channels. Honestly, Vincent, thank you so much for having me. It was a great call. I think we put some nuggets in the YouTube world, and I hope everybody got some value from this.
I learned a lot myself. So yeah, thanks for your time. Thanks for sharing the good gold nuggets today with the viewers. And yeah, then I would say see you in the next podcast. And thanks a lot for being on this one, Brendo. And yeah, hopefully we see each other also in real life in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. In Dubai. Amazing. Thank you. Bye.